All right, well, under this formula, the winner for Best Actress is... Okay, as promised, I'm here to reveal the winners of the Best Actor formula. Now, this was created to help predict those close acting races, and this year, we have a nail-biting race. Will it be Emma Stone or Lily Gladstone? Will Cillian Murphy win, or will this formula give Giamatti the edge? Well, let's find out. Now, I already did a full breakdown of this actor formula and explained how exactly this works. And if you haven't seen that video, definitely go back and watch that first one and then come back to this video, because this probably won't make a lot of sense. So I'll have the link right, I always forget what side it's on. This side or this side, whatever, you see it. Now, for those of you who have seen the first video and is anxiously awaiting the results of this one, well, welcome back, but let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, these categories, you might know where they're gonna go, but let's start with the supporting actress. So as explained in the first part of the video, we're gonna go ahead and start with round one. This is gonna cover all the major precursor awards. And you can see down below, we have this year's nominees. Points will be represented by this water right here. And the ball is gonna represent the Oscar, and whoever ball or Oscar is highest is going to be the person with the most points, thus the winner. And remember, the points for each award show is weighted and based on the importance it carries. And that's all explained in the first video. Okay, so starting with the first point, the Golden Globes. 1 point goes to that winner, and that is Da'Vine Joy Randolph. So we're gonna go ahead and give Da'Vine Joy Randolph 1 point. Okay. All right, so next we're gonna award the Critics' Choice. Now that's a half point, and the winner of that was Da'Vine Joy Randolph, so we're gonna give her a half point. All right, moving on to the next one. BAFTA is the next award show, and we award 1 point to the BAFTA winner, and this year, the winner was Da'Vine Joy Randolph. Okay, and our final point is given to the SAG winner, 1.5 points. And that, of course, went to Da'Vine Joy Randolph. So Da'Vine Joy Randolph gets 1.5 points for SAG. It's a big one. All right, so the current rules for this formula is if there's a clean sweep in round one, that there's no need to go to round two, as it's going to be very unlikely for another contender to catch up. So the clear winner under this formula for Best Supporting Actress is Da'Vine Joy Randolph. All right, but let's move on to another easy category before we get to the big ones, Best Supporting Actor. Okay, so below we have all the nominated supporting actors for this year. And let's just get right into it. Golden Globe went to Robert Downey Jr. I made sure to put Mark Ruffalo and Iron Man together, by the way. Okay, and then the half point for the Critics' Choice also went to Robert Downey Jr. All right, and then BAFTA went to Robert Downey Jr., so he gets a point for BAFTA. And then a few days ago was SAG, and you guessed it, that went to Robert Downey Jr., so he gets a 1.5 for SAG. All right. All right, so another clean sweep here, no need to do round two. Robert Downey Jr. is the formula's clear pick for Best Supporting Actor. He's gonna get the Oscar. So these two categories are not very surprising, right? But let's talk about those races that are not so certain. And let's start first with Best Actor. So starting with the first point, we're gonna go with the winner of the Golden Globes. Paul Giamatti won the Globe for comedy. Cillian Murphy won for drama, so they both get 1 point. Okay, so moving on to Critics' Choice. The winner of Critics' Choice was Paul Giamatti, so he gets a half a point there. Okay, so that gives Giamatti the slight lead, but the next award show is BAFTA, and the winner was Cillian Murphy. And so we give 1 point to Mr. Murphy. All right, so then we come down to SAG, and this is Giamatti's chance to hit back, but the winner was Cillian Murphy. So Murphy gets 1.5 points. That's 1 point. Then we need to get him his half. Okay, so coming out of round 1, we have Cillian Murphy leading with 3.5 points to Paul Giamatti's 1.5 points. Now, in order to qualify for round 2, you need to have received points in round 1. So Murphy and Giamatti are the only actors to receive points. So let's go ahead and go to round 2 with those actors only. So we're gonna go ahead and remove these. Okay, so round 2 talks about other factors, all with a half point value, and starting with our first one, the momentum point. This is where we award a half point for the film that won at the most recent award show. So more often than not, the winner that wins the Oscar also won at the most recent major award show. Usually that award show is BAFTA, but this year SAG was the most recent award show, and so the momentum point goes to Cillian Murphy. Remember, these are half point values. So next we give a half point to the performances that was also in a Best Picture nominated film, as films nominated for Best Picture often has the edge, and this year both performances were nominated for Best Picture, so they both get half a point. Half a point. Okay, so now we're down to our last point to give out, and this is given to performances that are based on a real life person. So say Daniel Day-Lewis for Lincoln, or Sean Penn for Milk, real life person, or they're for performances that are physically transformative, like say Brendan Fraser for The Whale. So this year, Cillian Murphy is playing Oppenheimer, clearly based on a real life person. Paul Giamatti, not based on a real person, nor is he very physically transformative in the role, with the exception of maybe a wonky eye. So the half point goes to Cillian Murphy. And there we have it. The clear winner of the Best Actor formula in the Best Actor category is Cillian Murphy. All right, but let's move on to the tightest race of the year. This is the one that really has us scratching our heads. Best Actress. Below are this year's nominees. We have Carey Mulligan, Sandra Hüller, we have Emma Stone, Lily Gladstone, and Annette Bening. All right, so starting with our first point, the Golden Globes, they split. Emma Stone won comedy, Gladstone won drama, so 1 point goes to them each. Okay, so Best Actress at Critics' Choice, it was in suspense, but ended up going to Emma Stone. So half a point goes to Emma Stone. So that half point gives Emma Stone the slight lead there. And now we're moving on to BAFTA, and the winner was Emma Stone. So Emma Stone gets that additional point. So Emma Stone expands her lead, and she has 2.5 points compared to Lily Gladstone's 1, and that brings us to SAG, and Lily Gladstone surprises and wins there a very big award, so 1.5 points goes to Lily Gladstone. All right, so check that out. Now we go into round 2 with an exact tie. 2.5 points to 2.5 points each. So let's move on to round 2 with just the gemstones. The momentum point is where we start off, and that goes to the most recent winner, which this year is going to be SAG. So 0.5 point goes to Lily Gladstone. All right, so now she takes a slight lead, and now we're going to move on to the Best Picture half point, giving any nominees here who are also nominated in picture. And both of these performances were nominated in picture, so both get half a point. Half a point to Emma Stone, half a point to Lily Gladstone. All right, so now Lily Gladstone's leading by a hair, but now we're down to our final point, and this could tie it up, and then we'll have to go to our tiebreaker round. And this next point is very tricky, because this next point is given to a performance that's based on a real life person or is physically transformative. Now, this is supposed to represent the Meryl Streep, Iron Lady, or the Jessica Chastain, Tammy Faye performances that are clearly transformative. So this year, Lily Gladstone is based on a real life person. Emma Stone is not based on a real life person, but the question of whether it's technically physically transformative, that lives a little bit in the gray zone. So personally, I would see the case for both. Whether it's not physically very, very transformative, it does feel like a very physical performance. And this is why this point has always been a little questionable to me, because I was always fearful of running into a situation just like this. So I took to Twitter to poll to see whether people viewed this as a transformative performance, and the opinion was completely split. Now, my deciding factor was to look at the makeup category for clarification. Now, Poor Things was nominated for makeup, but William Dafoe played, I think, a major part in securing that nomination, I imagine. So ultimately, I think everyone kind of has to just kind of come to your own conclusion on whether Emma Stone would qualify for this point or not. You know, the situation where it's hard to decide, it doesn't come up that often, but I want to make sure to be as fair as possible. I've decided I'm going to award Emma Stone the point based on the fact that it was nominated for makeup. Stone does look different from her everyday appearance, and also just the fact that it's not completely clear whether it's completely physically transformative. In the end, you know, Lily Gladstone is based on Molly Burkhart, a real person, but it isn't a person that people, you know, can look up and compare and how the performances matches up to the real person. There's no footage out there. So I would say Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone are on pretty even footing, with, you know, Emma being transformative to a degree and Lily being based on a real life person, but not a person that's, you know, as widely known as, say, Margaret Thatcher or someone like that. So I would say both get the half point. I think that's the fair thing to do. Okay, half a point. And so, the winner for Best Actress, decided by the actor formula by a hair, Lily Gladstone, 4 points to Emma Stone's 3.5. Lily Gladstone did win, but let's say, for example, this was a tie. Let's go through the tiebreaker round to see how that works. So first, the tiebreaker asks for most mentions across the board. That's 5 mentions each. Both get a point. Okay. All right, so the second point goes to the SAG winner because SAG is super important. Lily Gladstone gets the second tiebreaker point. All right, so the last point in the tiebreaker round is to give a point to the top tier Best Picture contender, and we look at the films that are nominated for director. Both films were nominated for director, so both get that half point. So in this case, Lily Gladstone would actually win that tiebreaker round in the event there was a tie. But this is very, very, very close. And just because the formula has Gladstone winning, I really wouldn't discount Emma Stone. I also want to point out that this Academy membership, you know, it's changed a lot over the last few years. In 2015, it was around 6,500 members. Now there's nearly 10,000 members. And, you know, this has been in an effort to be more globally inclusive and bringing in international voters and also voters that skew younger. So the entire goal of this formula isn't to come up with a surefire 100% method, but give a predicting tool that would be more accurate than any single precursor alone. So if you were going to predict Best Actress based solely on whoever wins SAG, for example, and you did that every year going back to 2005, you would have been correct 13 out of 18 times. If you went with the BAFTA winners, you would have been right 14 times. So how does this formula pan out every year in Best Actress dating back to 2005? Well, let's take a look. So starting back to 2005, Reese Witherspoon has a clean sweep for Walk the Line. The following year, Helen Mirren does as well. Then we get to one of the greatest upsets, Marion Cotillard for La Vie en Rose versus Julie Christie from Away From Her. In this experiment, it came down to a tie with Cotillard winning the tiebreaker round. Very, very, very close. So the following year is very interesting, and talking about factors beyond the formula's control, this is a good example. Category placement. So looking at how this panned out, it looks like a complete tie between Meryl Streep for Doubt and Kate Winslet for The Reader. However, there was some category confusion that year for Kate Winslet in The Reader. Initially, Kate Winslet was running in the supporting category, so though technically Meryl Streep won for Doubt at SAG, for example, in lead, Winslet also won, but it was in the supporting category. In fact, Winslet won at Globes, Critics, BAFTA, and SAG, but half of those wins were in different categories. So Winslet practically dominated the season. Actually, she even won twice at the Globes that year. She won for lead and for Revolutionary Road and supporting for The Reader. So Kate Winslet was easily winning that year. It wasn't really difficult to predict, but using this formula, the formula gets confused by those category switches, so that's what you're seeing here. The next year, Sandra Bullock wins for The Blind Side. Natalie Portman has a clean sweep for Black Swan. Another close race here. Streep wins for The Iron Lady. Jennifer Lawrence wins the following year, though Chastain and Riva got pretty close. Ultimately, Lawrence's win at SAG keeps her ahead. Then you got Cate Blanchett has a clean sweep, and so does Julianne Moore and Brie Larson the next year. And in 2016, Emma Stone won pretty handedly. Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards has a clean sweep. The next year, another close one. Glenn Close versus Olivia Colman. Glenn Close was expected to win the Oscar. She had the slight edge on awards, but Colman had that surprise at BAFTA, giving her some momentum. Then you account the Best Picture nominee and Real Life Person, and that's where Colman takes the lead. The next year, Zellweger has a clean sweep. One of the closest actress races the following year. It was a 4-person race between Viola Davis, Frances McDormand, Andra Day, and Carey Mulligan. Each won a major precursor. Then in round 2, McDormand picks up some bonus points for being in a Best Picture nominee and has the momentum point. Viola Davis plays a real life person. That ties it up, and then we go into the tiebreaker round. Most mentions across the board, Frances McDormand. SAG winner, Viola Davis. Film, that was a Best Picture nominee. And Best Director, that's Frances McDormand. So incredibly close. McDormand takes it. Jessica Chastain wins the following year, and then we get back to Michelle Yeoh. And let's talk about last year, because last year is a very similar race. Like Gladstone, Michelle Yeoh wins the Golden Globe, but then right before the Oscars, she wins SAG. And like Emma Stone, Cate Blanchett for Tar won the Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, and then BAFTA, but ended up losing SAG. Ultimately, it was the momentum at winning at SAG that gave Michelle Yeoh the advantage. So putting Kate Winslet's kind of category mix-up year to the side, currently this formula dating back to 2005 is running at 100% accurate. But this formula is brand new, I can't express that enough, and it may take a few years kind of collecting data from this new membership, and I'll definitely refine it as we go along. But these are the predictions that I'm actually going to be going with. And just a reminder, my other 2 experiments, the preferential ballot experiment and the Oscar stat stack, that's going to be posted later this week. But I have an additional surprise as well. I want to ask you guys whether you prefer to partake in the preferential ballot experiment yourself, or whether you wanted me to continue polling anonymous industry members. And the response was overwhelming to not stop the industry preferential ballot. But a few of you did express that you wanted to do both. So that's what I've decided to do. I'm gonna do both experiments. So if I get enough votes this year I'll be doing 2 separate videos. So 2 preferential ballot experiments one with members from the industry, and one where you all get a chance to vote. So here's how you vote. For those who don't know how voting works, let me briefly explain. When the Academy members vote for Best Picture, they don't just vote for one film. Best Picture uses a preferential ballot. What that means is they ask all members to rank all the Best Picture nominees in order of preference from their most favorite to their least. So what I want you to do is, in the comment section below, rank this year's nominees in order from your most favorite to your least. And if you haven't seen a film, if you want, you can totally omit them from your ranking. It's your choice. So if I get enough votes, I'm gonna go ahead and conduct that experiment using your personal rankings. And it'll be a lot of fun to see who wins Best Picture if it was voted by the Oscar science community. So comment your ranking below. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And after that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of those experiments before Oscars. Follow me on Letterboxd or Twitter. Thank you always for watching. Your enthusiasm fuels me and I really appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you at the Oscars.